All right, ladies, we're going to introduce two concepts, power and efficiency. So we've been looking at energy, right? And the relationship between work and energy, and we're talking about different types of energy. So now we're going to talk about power. And power is really simple, very simple concept. And if I actually plugged in my pen, it would be an even simpler concept. So right now I'm wasting some energy.
Oh my gosh.
Plugging this tablet in. Just dragging out this very boring lesson to begin with. Okay, so let's start. Okay. Okay, power. Now, what power is simply the amount of energy or work, so W or E, that you do over the amount of time that you do it in.
So it's W or E or W time?
Well, work and energy we talked about are really the same thing, right? So it's the amount of work you do, or it's the amount of energy you consume per time. It's got to be in seconds. Another way I remember this formula is pain equals women over time.
Oh my god.
Right?
Head.
Did I just say that? And now it's going to be on YouTube? Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. Now look, the unit for energy and work is what? Joules. Very good. The unit for time will be in seconds. So this gives us what's called the watt. Now, something you might see, very common unit, pick up a light bulb, pick up an appliance, it'll tell you how many watts of power it uses up. So that's actually a measurement of how much energy it uses up per second. So if something has, for example, 100 watts, let's say the light bulb, this is 100 watts on it, that means it uses up 100 joules per second. And then later on, not today, we'll talk about, well, what does that mean for your electricity bill? Because in the higher that value, the more you're paying. Okay? So we'll deal with that later on. Now, because the equation is W over T, we can actually derive some other equations. Because let's think about what work is. Remember, work is force times distance. Work is also MAD. So we can actually come up with some other equations, right? Because we could say, well, if power is work over time, we can also say that power is force times distance over time. And if we're moving at a constant rate, then we can actually say power is force times speed or velocity. Okay? We can also say power is work over time. We can say it's MAD over time, which then really is the same as MAV. So we have different equations we could use. We can have this, or this. So we have a bunch of different derivations that we could use. So just when you go through the equation, figure out which one's the best one, simplest one to use. Okay? So let's take a look at a really simple question. How much power would be generated, or how much power, if we had to calculate the amount of power in this scenario, person, 100 kilograms climbing a ladder, 5 meters in 10 seconds. So we got mass, 100 kilograms. We have distance, 5 meters. We have time, 10 seconds, and we want power. Now, we have to assume, well, there's a big clue, by the way. Sometimes you have information that you don't think you have. It says we're moving up at a constant rate. So that means that the person is climbing, and the acceleration up is the same as the acceleration down. And we already know what the acceleration down is. It has to be little g. So the acceleration up has to be 9.8. So now we actually also have the acceleration up, which is 9.8. Okay, so what equation would you use then in this scenario? We have M, D, T, and A. Yeah, so power is mad over time. So it's 100 kilograms times 9.8 times the distance, which is 5 meters, over the time, which is 10 seconds. So what's the power? Is that about 490? So it's 490 watts. And when we, those of you who are going to come to the Ryerson lab, they have like a bike where they can actually measure how much power you're generating. So we can see who can generate the highest power. Person I think is me. No. Any questions about this? No? Easy? Okay. Let's look at another question. Here's a question with a pump. Okay? We have a pump. Pump can take 10 liters of water per second up a height of 20 meters to a tower. What is the power output? And we're going to assume that it's 100% efficient. Because the next question we'll look at what happens if it's not 100% efficient. So we have a pump that moves 10 liters of water up a height of 20 meters. So what do we have? Well, we have, we're looking for power, actually. We have height or distance, 20 meters, which is, now this is actually the same as the height. Do we have the mass? No. Yes, we do. Because 10 liters is roughly 10 kilograms. Now, do we have the time? Yes, we do. It says it's doing this in 1 second. It says for every second, it can move 10 liters of water up a height of 20 meters. So we actually do have the time. It's 1 second. Now, we have to assume that it's moving up at a constant rate. So then you also have the acceleration up. We can go ahead and use the same equation we used before. Power is mad over time.
Oh, I want to tell you what a resource I was able to acquire for the Department of the Minute.
Yeah, okay, I'll be there in a second. Okay, so power is mad over T, right? So mad, 10, acceleration, 9.8, height or distance, 20, time, 1 second. I put the unit in for time, but I didn't put the unit in for anything else. I'll just scratch the unit out. We'll leave it unitless, because we know the unit's supposed to be watts. It's supposed to be watts because the mass is in kilograms, acceleration is meters per second squared. This is the meter, and time is in seconds. Okay, so what is that? 19. So 1,960 watts. Okay?
So why is it 1 second? Isn't it like
per second
10 liters
of water per? So yeah, you gotta be able to read that, translate that. It says it's taking 10 liters of water per second up 20 meters. So in 1 second.
10 liters, you just use 1 second.
Yeah.
If you use 20 liters, would you use 2 seconds? And you use 40
yes.
liters.
It would take 2 seconds to move up 20 liters of water. So then your mass would double, but then your time would double, so that ends up being the same thing, right? No, because it's going up the same height. So she's asking if we move, how much would it, to move 20 liters? Well, that would then take 2 seconds. So if instead of 10 we have 20, but we have 2, well, 10 over 1 is the same as 20 over 2. It ends up being the same power rate. Okay, one last question. This has to do with efficiency, okay? And because in the previous examples, we assumed that it's 100% efficient. So Efficiency is a rating of how much useful stuff you get out of something over how much you put into it, and it's times 100%. And it can't be more than 100%, because if it's 100% efficient, that means you have no wasted energy. None. Zero.
Is it possible for us to be at 100%?
Maybe me, but not you guys. What do you think the answer is?
I don't think so.
No, it's not. It's not. There's always going to
Why
be,
did you say that the highest we can do is 100%?
theoretically, the highest is 100%, but
The
But-
machine can be 100% efficient,
no, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that's your you can't go past 100%.
but they can't do it.
Right, there's always going to be, you can get very close to 100%, but it's very hard to get to 100%. Okay, so let's look at this question. We want to know, what is the efficiency of a motor? Now, the motor has a power rating of 750 watts, okay? We want to know how efficient that motor is. So we do have some information about the motor. We are told that the motor can lift 10 kilograms of mass at a speed of 6 meters per second. And we have to assume, again, that it's lifting it at a constant rate. So if it's lifting it at a constant rate, that means the acceleration up is roughly 10, 9.8. Okay, what is the actual useful work? We can actually calculate what would be the power to actually accomplish this. So, how much power does this represent? Taking 10 kilograms of mass, moving it up at a rate of 6 meters per second. What equation would you use? You have M, you have A, you have B. I'd use MAV, M-A-V. So M-A-V, okay. So, we have 10 times 9.8 times 6. So what is that? Like 590 something. What is it? 588. Now, that's the actual power. If you had to do this, that's the amount of power required to do that. But the motor has a power rating of 750 watts. Because some of the energy is going to be converted to like heat, maybe vibrational energy. So some energy will be lost. Right, so this is the actual input. And then this would be the output. This is the useful work. This is what you put in. Alright, so then if you had to calculate efficiency, it would be the useful or output, 588 over the input, 750 times 100. And I was saying, you'll know this is wrong because I have two numbers, and if I put it the other way around, if I put 750 over 588, I'll get a number more than 100%. It's got to be wrong. So then you're like, okay, can't be that. I must have screwed up somewhere. Let's flip those numbers around. So what is that? What percent is that? 588 or 7 over 750. It's very close, over 6 over 7.5. What is it? 78? We'll just say 78%. So about 22% of the energy is lost because the motor is about 78% efficient.
When you say lost, like 80%.
So it's lost as heat, vibrational, sound. Often when a motor runs, you can hear sound, right? Power is a measurement of energy over time. So you can't destroy energy, but you can convert it into some other form. Remember, law of conservation of energy, right? Cannot create or destroy what? Energy. But you ever hear the law of conservation of Marx? Can't create or destroy Marx. So if anyone wants their marks raised, that has to come at the cost of someone else. So, Ashley, if you want to mark, you want 5 extra %, then Susie, you mind if I take off 5%? Because I can't create or destroy marks, but I can convert them from one form to another. This is getting lame. Okay, let's end here.